This is a day that I look forward to every single year because it's just so much fun. Being in an environment where there's lots of, fun and games and Hey, welcome back to the Unshakable Founder. My name's Josh, and this is my journey to impact 100 first-time founders by addressing their mindset and helping them master their mindset so that speaking too quickly, so that they become unshakable. Because I believe that the future belongs to the unshakable. Let's jump right into this. Today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. First, personal updates, a local fair that I went to with my family, and then a little bit about the interview that I have scheduled for next week with the CEO. And then I'm going to jump into business stuff after that. So the first thing I'll be talking about is a deal that I worked out with a client that backed out a few weeks ago. Now they turned into a client, and I'll be working with them starting tomorrow. So that's exciting. I'm going to be talking about something called the Genius Model by Simon Bowen. I have been going crazy with this thing. It has helped me understand so much about different things that I geek out about related to my business and to the things that I help my clients with. But I'll be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about, the boot camp that I joined for Russell Brunson's. He has this mini boot camp called Offer Secrets, and I'm working on developing like a pitch, kind of like a pitch perfect offer, something that I will have to practice and it will take time to master, but that I think it's going to help me immensely articulate the value that I bring to people who join my program and that I help become unshakable. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, a new productivity app that I've been using called, I don't know if it's pronounced Tana or I'm just going to say Tana. I've been using Tana in place of Notion for the last couple of weeks now. I took a day to just spend a few hours playing with it and getting used to its features. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So let's jump into the first thing, which is I attended a local fair with my family this past weekend. And this is a day that I look forward to every single year because it's just so much fun. Being in an environment where there's lots of, fun and games and foods that we don't typically eat. A lot of fried foods, but, we don't eat unhealthy all the time. So having these kind of crazy foods like deep fried pickles and Oreos and donut burgers and things like that, like crazy stuff like that, is just fun to kind of just go and try new things that we haven't tried. So, and this year was especially special to my wife and I because my son, he reacts to things now. And so seeing this day through the lens of my son just made it that much more special. And he's just so fascinated by everything right now. So it was just fun to watch. It's something that, we hadn't experienced before. We took him last year, but he was only 3 months last year. And at 3 months, there's not much going on. So it was a different experience this year. And then next year will be crazy too, because next year we'll be a family of 4. So, that'll be even crazier. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that update. I have an interview set up with the CEO of a firm that I applied for 2 weeks ago. No, last week actually. And I had an initial interview, a Zoom interview with one of the principals of the firm, and it went really well. They immediately scheduled a follow-up interview, a second interview, which I think is the final one, with the CEO of the company. And so I have that next Monday. All I have to do to prepare for that really is to kind of print out my portfolio. And then, I'll have a few copies of my portfolio to share with the CEO. And I anticipate it goes well and that I will likely be working within the next month and a half. So I don't want to see it as a setback in my business, although, it's going to take up the majority of my time. I'm going to be working full time. And I'm talking as though I'm already got the job, right? But assuming I get the job, I will be working full time, and I will have to balance, that I'll have to balance family, and I'll have to balance the business. It'll really force me to kind of prioritize the things, and I should be doing this already. I don't know. It's just something that I've got to deal with. It's on me to take responsibility for, making sure that my family is in a position where we feel financially secure. And that's what I'm trying to do. And then the business is, kind of like a long-term goal to get us financially abundant. So that's not going anywhere. I'm going to continue doing these every single week. I will figure out a way to get them out. But yeah, I just sharing my journey, having you guys along for the ride. You will get to see how things change over time by me staying dedicated and consistent to this thing, right? It's not something that is going to be easy. And in my personal opinion, it should be hard. It should be difficult. We should be patient, right, for good things to come. And yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds. I may even consider, just going all in and getting my architect's license. That's an absolute possibility, simply for the fact of being able to say I'm an architect turned entrepreneur, or architect turned mindset coach, right? It has a good ring to it, and honestly, like, that may be enough motivation to kind of buckle down and be disciplined with this. I don't know. We will see, but this coaching business, mindset coaching business, is absolutely not going anywhere. I am 100% dedicated to seeing this through, and to, delivering results for future clients. And I'm going to be in this thing for the long term. Like, I am not going anywhere. Let's jump into the business stuff. So I worked out a value exchange deal with this client that backed out. So I had a discovery call with someone a few weeks ago, and she made an initial deposit. And then a couple of days later, after the excitement that I talked about on here, she backed out. And it was because she was pivoting in her entrepreneurial journey. And so her source of income was, not a sure thing. So she had to back out. But she was so, I don't know what the word for it is, convinced that this was right for her. My program was right for her. And so that made me feel like I presented it in a way that was good. I don't know how else to say it. I presented it in a way, and I believe in it. I believe it in 100%. All of the things that I've developed in this program are things that I have personally gone through. I actually went through the entire thing myself. I've done all the assignments. I've gone through all of the exercises and developed it to a point where, like, I think I could make money if I went through this thing simply by addressing mindset. And so I'm excited to see where this goes. She's going to be helping me out with YouTube here. She's been on YouTube less time than I have, but she's already gained more followers than I have, subscribers. And so I'm like, you must be doing something right. So she's going to be helping me out with YouTube in exchange for going through my coaching program. So I worked out an agreement, and she'll likely be signing that agreement today. But we've already scheduled our first meeting, which is tomorrow, and that's exciting. I have, I have a structure, a format to my one-on-one sessions. So we'll see how that goes, and I will update you guys as to how that's going as we go through the program. And it's going to be exciting to see the results that she's able to get by going through all of this stuff. The Genius Model by Simon Bowen. This thing, so Simon Bowen is an entrepreneur, a businessman who developed the Genius Model. And I may be like, I don't know entirely his story, but he developed the genius model to kind of help people set themselves apart from other people in their industry. And so it's something that my business coaches use, like some form of it. They used it in their model to pitch their services. And, I recently used it to kind of understand the way my framework works, or my system works, to help people push past their fears and their limiting beliefs and their lack of self-trust, and to help them build their confidence. I used it to help myself kind of understand how everything works in sync with each other, with the client at the very center of it all. And when I used it to understand, and to help explain this to, future prospects on discovery calls, I found that in using it to understand complex topics, things like, where does intrinsic motivation come from, and how do you actually get that? And these are based off evidence-based theories from psychologists, people with PhDs, to help me understand these complex topics. And the way it breaks things down is so easy to understand that I started developing these presentations and using this model to help my future clients understand complex things, as to why they behave the way that they behave, or why they think the things that they think, or why they feel the things that they feel. Thinking, emotions, and behavior all tie into like ultimate self-awareness. And just in helping me understand these topics like intrinsic motivation, self-awareness, what else did I write here? Self-management, like all these complex things, like a lot of moving parts to these things. Using the genius model has really helped me accelerate my learning in notes that I've previously taken, that I've kind of struggled to understand in the past. But using this model helps it break it down so easily. So recommend looking into it. And I may be doing future YouTube videos based on this model to help teach things in a simplified manner, so that help people understand complex things. And it's cool because it kind of gives you this really cool visual image to help you kind of retain the information better. So that's another aspect of it that I really like. I'm halfway through Russell Brunson's boot camp called Offer Secrets. And the second half, I was using, and I haven't talked about this, but I'm using Tana to kind of manage all of the information that I'm getting from this boot camp. And just in setting up all of the things that I'll be learning in the second half of this boot camp, there's just so many videos to go through. I have no idea how long they are, but it's a lot to go through, and I want to try and push through kind of this second half through this weekend. My wife and I this weekend, we don't really have a lot going on this weekend, but one of the things that we will be watching, that we're both fans of, are the CrossFit Games. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but we've been following the CrossFit Games. Well, she's been following it since like 2014, 2015. And I started watching it when I met her, which was 2017. And so we've been following the sport. We know a lot of the main athletes. And we were surprised to hear that one of her favorite female athletes, Tia Claire Toomey, is going to be competing this year. I was following not the semifinals, but the pre-qualifiers before the semifinals, and I didn't see her name anywhere. And I was thinking, well, maybe she was just like flying under the radar and not trying to be like in the top 10, because I just look at like the top 10 to 20, and I didn't see her name anywhere. I was like, oh, maybe she's not competing this year. I mean, she's a mom, so she competed the year, like a few months. I think it was like a few months. It couldn't have been a few months. No, I think it was like maybe 6 months after she had her daughter Willow. But just the fact that she competed and won No, she got second place. She got second place, but the fact that she got second place is just insane and is a testament to her athletic ability. I mean, the things that they test are kind of insane, but we enjoy watching and we enjoy the competition. We don't get into like the I guess like you could say like the politics behind the games. Was it last year or the year before there was an athlete who drowned competing, and I actually have a shirt that I purchased to help support the family. But yeah, he was an athlete that I personally enjoyed watching every single year, and ever since his death, it kind of left like a bad taste in people's mouths because they didn't do a great job in ensuring the athlete's safety. And so that's been a kind of a big thing going on in the background. But regardless of that, we're still going to watch. We're still going to track the athletes, and that starts tomorrow. So we're excited about that. But beyond that, I will be working on completing the boot camp. I have a meeting with my client tomorrow, which is going to be exciting. And then, the last thing here is using Tana. Using Tana. I've been using Tana in place of Notion, and I've been really enjoying it. It's a bit more of a simplified version. There isn't as much functionality, but actually that was one of the things that drew me to it. I mean, there are so many things you can learn in Notion, and it's great. It's a great tool. I've been using Notion for the past 3 or 4 years now, and I've kind of been in search of a new tool that is a little bit more simplified and straightforward for my knowledge management systems. And Tana has been pretty great so far. I've only been in it for 2 weeks, but I actually almost became a certified user of Notion, going through they have a certification. I forget what it's called, but I almost went through that, and so I have an extensive knowledge of how to use Notion already. But yeah, I just wanted to explore something new and something that is a little bit more simplified, less distracting. Notion can get distracting with all of its customization, but Tana's there's this feature called the super tag, and you can configure the super tags to pretty much look like anything you want it to. A Kanban table, you could just do a regular table, a list, cards. I guess that's the Kanban. But there are different ways to kind of view information, and yeah, so far it's been fine for my needs. I will continue to explore it. I have a free trial that runs until end of next month, end of August. So I think I may end up, switching over and kind of starting to migrate in my free time the information from Notion to Tana. That way I don't have information in two different places. Most of it is notes that I've taken on the books that I've read, podcast episodes I've listened to, articles that I've found that have helped me, in my knowledge, in my growth, that have contributed to my own, helping me master my own mindset. All of these things that I can transfer over, and the process is a little tedious because of how the nodes work in Tana, but yeah, I'm going to do it little by little each day. And, over the course of a few months, I'm sure I can have most, if not all, the information. Actually, it might take longer than a few months because it's a lot. But yeah, like the thing that I focus on when I look for a productivity app or a knowledge management system like this is like how easy is it to capture ideas, articles, notes? How easy is it to organize those notes, and how easy is it to retrieve those notes so that I can use it for future use. And yeah, so far it's met all of those needs fairly well, and so I'll continue to use it. But if anything changes, I'll let you guys know. That's it for this episode. How long did I go? I went 20 minutes. Yeah, I will see you guys next week. Hope you have a great weekend, and the future belongs to the unshakable.